Questions that I get asked almost every other day is how do I convert a PDF into a Google Doc? So what I'm going to do, there's several different ways you can do it. One of the ways that I'm going to show you is my favorite, using Acrobat Pro DC. Okay, and so as a district, Northside does have a has an enterprise license, so everybody in the district has access to Acrobat Pro DC. So if you need instructions on how to download it, let me know and I can get that to you. But as far as how to convert them into something that students are going to be able to use in Google Classroom, it's not the perfect solution, but it is one of the solutions because I've seen people use other ways, maybe like a Google slide and creating the PDFs that way. But so let me show you the way that I like to do it, and that's using, like I said again, Adobe Pro DC. Okay, so what I do is, let me go ahead and just pull up a PDF. So going back to our Northside main page, I'm just going to pull up one of the PDFs that we have here available to us through our distance learning. And the reason why I'm going to use this is because the PDFs that are on here have a lot of images. So I want to show you what it does with the images. Yes, let's go right here, Google Classroom Resources. So getting started with a Northside device. Okay, so this one right here, adding Wi-Fi to an iPad. So this right here is a click sheet, and it's got several images, and this is, as you can tell up here, okay, this is a PDF. So what I'm going to do at this point is, let's say this was maybe a worksheet for my curriculum that I wanted to use with the students and upload it to their Google Classroom. So what I would do from this point is I'm just kind of moving my mouse so I get these options up here at the top. So from here, what I could actually do is I can click on this and then I can open it directly with Google Docs. But let me show you what it does. So if I open it in Google Docs, actually let me change this to my Northside account. So if I open this with my Google Docs, because that PDF does have a lot of images, the images get deleted and it only ends up with the text. So this looks very different from, and that's it. So it's done. It's still taking a little bit of time to render, but that's it. That's all I get. And all the images went away. So this is not necessarily what I want, right? Because I want it to look very much like this. So opening it up straight into Google Docs is not the best solution for this part. Now, if it didn't have any images and it was just straight text, opening it up in Google Docs might be a good solution. But just to let you know, if there are any kind of images, or if it's a table, or even maybe functions or equations, those kinds of things, it won't render right. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to close the Google Doc that it created for us. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to download it. So now when I download it, it automatically opened it up into my my Acrobat Pro DC, and then it also threw it in my downloads folder. Okay, so this is just in, well, actually it's in my recents, but it did throw it into my downloads folder. Okay, so on your machine, wherever your downloads go to, that's where the file's going to end up. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into File, Export to, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to export it as a Word. So from here, you can actually export it as an image if you wanted to do that, and then upload the image into your Google Classroom, and it'll work just like a scan. And the kids could write over it. If they had an iPad, they could use their stylus or a finger to write over it if you wanted to do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Microsoft Word, export it to Microsoft Word. Okay, so now it's going to throw it into my downloads, which is okay. All right, so now here's the same exact, let me minimize this in the background. Okay, so here is that same exact form, or actually that same exact PDF, and it came out very clean. It has the images, and I could go in there and just start typing if I wanted to do that. Okay, I think the only thing that it didn't render is this part up here at the top. Let me see. Yeah, connecting iPads to outside network. So it still didn't render perfectly, but it did a lot better than when it made the conversion into a Google Doc. I think for the most part, it looks pretty clean. Yeah, this was the only part that it didn't do, was this top part. If I wanted to throw it in there, I can just select, copy it, and then let's see if it'll let me do that. No, it did not. Let me try. Oops. Did a little bit too much. So I threw it in there somewhere. There it is. But, and then this one I could just right click and maybe send it to the back. There it is. Oh, so it did throw it in there. It just didn't, it was behind that square. That's where the image was. Okay, so now it looks pretty much like the original one. Okay, so let's say we're happy with it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and minimize the download. So this is the one that we're going to work with. This is adding Wi-Fi iPad 2020. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to close it out. So now I'm going to go back into my Google Drive. And I'm going to close this out. Close this out. Okay, I'm in my drive. So from here, I'm going to hit plus, file upload. And so here it went into my downloads, and this is the original one that I downloaded, okay, the PDF. And then this is the one that was converted to the doc. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the doc one. Now I'm going to upload it. Okay, so I uploaded it. So now I'm going to click on it just to open it up. So again, it did a little bit more of that weird converting. So it kind of threw it off again when it rendered. So from here, if I click on open with, let's see what it looks like now if I open it from a Word to a Docs. Okay, so again, it kind of threw it off a little bit, and all the images ended up moving to the left, and then it left these little frames on the right. So I'm going to have to mess with it a little bit to kind of get it to where I want it. So for example, from the top, that image right there that had the colors, okay, if I click on it, I can see the blue border that was on the color, and then so from here I can just drag it and make it match. And then since it hid the text, I'm going to have to, let's see, image options. I was going to try to throw it behind. Let's see if this will let me. Oh, there it is, position. That's the one I was looking for. No, maybe not. I would have to figure out where it is, or maybe I can just move this text to the front. There, well, okay, I'd have to look to see where I can throw. It's just the order of the way that the text is, because the image is wanting to go to the front. So there it goes. Okay. Yeah, it takes a little bit of messing around, but okay, so now that it's not perfect, but it's better. So then these images that got moved to the left when it rendered, the little frames are where I want to throw them. So I'm just going to click on them and then drag them right on top of the frame. Click on it, drag it right on top of the frame. And so what I'm looking for is those red crosshairs. So right here, it's even up and down. I just kind of move it up until I get the crosshairs right there. So I'm going to drop it. Right there. And it automatically throws the text to the left. Okay, so here I'm missing an image. I guess it's this one. Yeah, it was that one. Okay, so now here's a note, that one. And I think that's probably about as good as it's going to get. But it's still better than in a PDF. So now from here, the last step is it's still as a doc. As you can tell, it's still a Microsoft Word format. So what I'm going to have to do is go to File, Save as Google Doc. So that's the very last step. All right, so now that docx on the Google Doc one, it's not there, so that's how I know it's a Google Doc. And then plus the little icon turn into a Google Doc icon. Okay, that's the Google Doc icon, but that's still, this tells me that it's still in a Word format. So I'm going to close this one out just so that way I don't get confused anymore. This looks pretty close to the original PDF. So then from here, then I can go into my Google Classroom, and then I can upload it as a doc. And then so students can go in there, and then if they needed to write something, they can start writing stuff. Okay. All right, so that's one way of converting a PDF into a doc, and that's using Acrobat Pro DC. This is a paid app software, but Northside does buy it for us. Okay, and that's just one of the things that it does. It does so many other things too. You can create PDFs, you can combine files, you can edit the PDF itself, you can export them, you can organize them, you can combine them. There's just so many things. I would say this is probably one of the go-to tools that I use whenever I'm messing with any of these things. So you can create PDFs, combine files, organize the PDFs, you can edit it, you can scan, do some of this optical character recognition. So if you have kids who need screen readers, that's how you can do that. You can add media to it. Share, this is locked down by the district, or else we would be able to use it, but for now we can't share or send for comments. You can fill and sign forms. You can actually create a form. So if I wanted to convert this to a form where I wanted maybe a text box in here, you can do that right here with this tool. You can check for accessibility. And these are very advanced things, but if you are into coding, you could use those tools. But anyways, that's my Adobe Acrobat Pro DC is my go-to. And so this is just one of the many ways that you could convert a PDF into a Google Doc.